Okay, I was going to do a talk about what beings are. Beings are personalities. So you've got personalities of your own. In other words, maybe you've got your general everyday personality that you present to your family. Another personality that's maybe very professional that you use at work. And maybe if you had two bottles of wine, you've got a drunk personality. So those are three examples of how one person could have three different personalities. Now, there are different ways that other personalities can come through to you. And as humans, we are totally in the dark as how it happens. Um, Theoretically, in the olden days, they would call them spirits, and spirits were basically personalities, and they could possess you or something. So spirits just possess you, and they would say it's just a characteristic of spirits that they could possess you. Um, if you're an actor, you could learn about a character that you've been assigned to play, and you could just read up on what the character's background was, or often the actor's job is to go and create a backstory for the character. So, if you got a new person that showed up to be a new parking lot attendant, they might have said their previous job, and the actor would have to make this up. Well, previously, I was flipping burgers, and before that, I was a milkman, and before that, I drove a cab. So, that's what they might have written down on their resume. This is all just made up out of your head. So, but that's how the backstory is for this character who showed up to be your new parking lot attendant. Um, can these personalities come to you? Oh, absolutely. And they don't even have to be you. You can sense them with your mind, and maybe you just get a feeling for them being there, and they might not even be talking to you, but you just feel it. It's just like I don't know how to describe it in words. It's a feeling, It's like sometimes people get the feeling that someone is creeping up on them from behind them or something. And then you look and there is somebody there that's about to, poke you or something. It's an intuition, like let's call it intuition. So it's some kind of something to do with your ability to sense things. So you can sense beings. And then the last way I want to talk about, and I've talked about it previously, is synthetic telepathy, which is advanced technology that is available here on planet Earth if you have access to it. I think it's mostly corporations and governments that have got this stuff. I don't think it's really available for consumer use unless you're a whiz kid and you are really good at technology stuff. But some of the ways that I've seen this talked about on the internet are using some kind of way to induce thoughts into a human brain. And it could be some kind of scalar waves, maybe. These are just like gobbledygook words that I've found off the internet. In other words, they're just words that I don't even know what the hell a scalar wave is. But it's like, it's describing something that does this work, induces a hologram into your mind. So you start perhaps seeing things or especially hearing things. And maybe the hearing stuff could be done that way by going and caressing the cells of your brain in a certain pattern in order to create a thought in your mind. I don't know if you could do it with microwaves, but some kind of energy that can come in and laser. I don't know how. Maybe a strong laser that could get through your skull and bathe your skull in light, or maybe it was like a maser, which is a magnetic version of a laser, or some other electromagnetic spectrum thing that can come in and can just bathe the cells of your brain with a textured pattern that creates thought forms. So, if you take an MRI of someone's skull to look at their brain, to see what's going on in their brain, it would be the reverse of an MRI. I mean, the MRI is looking to see what's already there. It would be the reverse of that. It's like taking something from outside and using the opposite of an MRI and putting it into the brain. So it's the reverse of an MRI. Other ways it could be done. The idea was you could use things like I mentioned microwave. You could use microwave to hit the bones in the skull and vibrate them. And you could vibrate them at a certain frequency so that the ear would hear the vibrations and would interpret it to be voices or sounds of different kinds of sounds. So this is just how things can be put into your sensory system by high technology that is most probably not commonly known. But if you look it up, unless it's been censored, and things do get censored, but I've seen it on the internet, just different these kind of descriptions, and that's where I got these ideas from. So, if you are taking psychedelics and you start seeing things, this is very strange. I really can't explain it. Some people say that some of these chemicals interfere with your wetware. I don't even know. This was just a stupid term that I picked up off the internet reading about this kind of thing. So, hardware, software, and wetware is like because your brain is, I mean, your body's made of mostly of water, so it's wetware. Somehow, these chemicals that you take can change your consciousness so much that you can experience uh, maybe a completely different reality where you start seeing these entities. So, in the old days when I was looking at this, I was trying to figure out how on earth could a very, like, if you read about LSD, the amount of LSD it takes in order to get people to trip is unbelievably small, micrograms, millionths of a gram. How can something so small change you so much? Common sense says it can't, but you read the trip reports and it does. So, what other theories besides this incredibly small molecule starting a huge chain reaction in your whole system and into your brain and changing your reality? It still boggles my mind how something so small can do it. So it was always a puzzlement, and I just had to leave it there. But I'm going to give you a combination theory. Um, Imagine Keanu Reeves' movies The Matrix, where we're living in a digital reality that is run by computers, super quantum computers that are unbelievably advanced, beyond anything that you can imagine. Things as smart as a human brain, maybe, or beyond a brain, maybe, like just super unbelievable, but that's what they show you in the Matrix movies. Um, if you were to imagine that your body is not what you've been told to be. I mean, it appears to be a carbon based organic thing, but that's what it looked like in Keanu Reeves' movies. But it was really a digital thing. And his real body was in a pod, and he was hallucinating this whole matrix thing, or it wasn't really a hallucination because he was plugged in. It had all those things down his back and onto his brain. It was his mind was directly plugged into this computer simulation where, Ready Player One maybe might have been another example of this. I never saw the movie, but I think that's kind of a similar idea where you're in a virtual reality. So in the virtual reality, if you take some small little tiny bit of this mostly illegal chemical and you change your reality, it's not the chemical that's doing it. Concomitant to you doing this little tiny physical thing, your reality changes because the matrix knows that you're taking this particular substance, which it changes the computer program of the virtual reality for you when you take that stuff. That's quite a lot to handle. You're in a matrix, it's run by a computer, it's a virtual reality. You're taking some physical substance, a psychedelic, a small amount, and the computer knows you're taking it. And as soon as you take it, or 5 or 10 minutes later, your reality changes because the computer knew you were taking this. So it's not the physical substance itself that's changed anything in you. The computer has changed your reality because you're in a virtual reality. Now, you can go and look into the simulation theory. Elon Musk buys into it. Elon Musk of Tesla and SpaceX. There's all kinds of people on YouTube that talk about that maybe we are living in a simulation. If that's the case, then we are already in Keanu Reeves' Matrix. And that's how these so-called physical substances that you take in can cause the change in reality for you. I don't know. I think that's basically what I wanted to get through to you, is that if we are in a simulation, then these so-called physical things, they're just concomitant. You take them and then your reality changes because the computer knows that this is going on, the computer that runs the virtual reality. There was something else I was going to talk about it, but it keeps slipping out of my mind. Uneventful as it is, sometimes the computer that runs me plays jokes and gives me, like, I'm in the middle of talking about a point, and the computer puts it into my mind. And it's like, I don't want to say it right now because I'm in the middle of another point. And then the computer sort of kind of gently pulls it out. And then it's like, now I'm ready to talk. Okay, computer, what was the next thought that you wanted me to broadcast to the public? And sometimes the computer will give it to me, and sometimes it won't. The computer keeps saying the computer wore tennis shoes, which was a Kurt Russell movie from the early 1970s where he had a computer-like brain. I don't know what their point of it is. Am I a computer-generated avatar? Yes. Do I believe that we're in a computer-generated reality? It could be, or it could be a mix of computer-generated things and physical things. Oh, this was the thing. Physical reality. When I was looking into, I don't think it was Heisenberg, but it was another one that was working in physics at the time of Heisenberg. It wasn't Niels Bohr. Sometimes it's 20 questions to get the right person. It wasn't Dirac equation, no. But this particular, he was probably a German scientist that was looking into the history of, if you look back in history of quantum physics, and he said, I've got it on my Instagram. If you go to Burrows Bobby on Instagram, one of my most recent postings there, you might find it. It's just stupid that they don't give me the name for you. This is where I get irritated at the stupid computer. It's because, they're playing cat and mouse with me. They know that I don't know. But anyway, it's somebody like Heisenberg who said, might have been Max Planck, but I don't think it was. Someone like this said that when they looked at atoms, and they kept looking at it, there is nothing to it. There is no such thing as physical atoms that we're taught about as classical physics that everyone basically runs on. There's no such thing. They keep looking and looking and looking, and they came to the conclusion there's nothing there. So, if that's what the people who were studying physics, in other words, the physics is the science of physical things, come to the conclusion there's nothing there, then all we are doing is playing in consciousness. It kind of defeats the whole idea of sending, the opposite of an MRI into my brain to create thoughts in there, because there is no brain, because we're saying, well, this brain is made up of physical stuff, white and gray matter in your brain. But the physicists are saying, well, if the gray matter is made up of cells that are made of atoms, but there's no such thing as atoms, there's nothing there. So if it works, it's all concomitant to a great play in consciousness, because in the end, that's all there is. Consciousness, which is awareness, stretch it to say thinking. That's it. That's it, folks. We're playing around in consciousness. And a lot of the stupid things that we do here on planet Earth, we pretend that we're physical beings running around in physical cars, paying physical money for expensive fossil fuels to pollute the atmosphere of a physical planet Earth. There's no such thing as physical fossil fuels. There's no such thing as a physical planet Earth to pollute. There's no need to get all upset about carbon. There's no need to be upset about polluting the ocean. There is no ocean. Yes, there is. I go and look out there, there's an ocean. It's something in your consciousness that you've identified as being an ocean, a physical thing that you can pollute. I'm worried about the radiation from Fukushima. There's no such thing as Fukushima. There's no such thing as radiation poisoning in this ocean. Let me repeat and revise for you. When the physicists that were studying quantum physics looked at atoms, they say there's nothing there. So the whole world that we're so worried about, the physical world that we're so worried about, the expensive things that we got to buy because we just got this society that is totally insane about money. And I mean, it's quite a rabbit hole. There's nothing here. It's a play in consciousness. Somehow consciousness has created this idea that we've got physical forms. They're not real. Consciousness says they're real. We play with them. But you go and look at it and you study the science, there's nothing there. It's just consciousness. It's a great game. I don't know what else to tell you. How do you change this game in consciousness? You can be quiet, meditate. It seems like the game in consciousness keeps going on no matter whether you meditate or not. It seems like the whole game in consciousness, it's like it's on a script. And what's going to happen is going to be in your script. How is that? Something is incredibly conscious and able to create these things. Is it you yourself? Is it God? Is it a supercomputer? I mean, you look at a hard computer box, the ones like a desktop computer, and you say, that's a solid box full of computer components. You have to go back to what I'm saying. Quantum physics says that the atoms that make up the physicality of your desktop computer don't exist. In other lectures, I've called them thought forms. It's a thought form. What's a thought form? It's a word for something that we experience. We get so hung up on these thought forms are mine. This is my car. It's a thought form of a car that you paid a lot of money for that you can drive around in your physical body. But it's not physical. There's nothing there in the atoms that make up your body. So we're playing this stupid game. And what about, we get so upset when a physical body dies. What happens to you after your physical body dies? There's no physical body. So we start crying and have huge funerals, and we go and have funeral sandwiches and a few drinks and, talk about the old times when that body was there. There's no thing there. The body that you're so upset about that's gone missing, it's gone missing to your awareness because the script created by the creator of scripts decided to kill it off. Does the personality live on? Yes, the personality that you were talking to lives on. How do I know this? Because sometimes I hear these personalities of dead people. Have I seen them? No, but someone I know has seen a doppelganger, another one, someone who looks a lot like, to be like their twin, in another city at an airport. It looked like somebody that we knew that died. It's very easy once you come to the conclusion that this is all consciousness, there is no physical things here. It's very easy to think, well, somebody that's dead might be reappeared, because it's a thought form. When you see a body, it's a thought form. That's all a body is, a thought form. Go dig into your quantum physics, read Heisenberg and various other names that are quoted in early 20th century about, if I can find the name, I'll put it here in the tags for you. And you can look and see what they say. And they say there's nothing here in physical reality. So don't get your head in a knot about everything. The only thing is, your experience as a body, if you're rich, maybe you're really enjoying yourself. But if you're poor and you're cold, I mean, this is what's really horrible, is the experience of being, I mean, your experience is, it's like being a physical thing. And I know my physical body, it's nothing there. I can see it, you can see it, but it's just consciousness. It's an amazing, amazing, amazing thing. But my consciousness senses when this body is cold or hungry or has to pee. It makes it very lifelike. But for those people that have to experience living on the streets in the cold, this is a horrible thing. I mean, if you've ever experienced being way too hot and feeling like you're going to pass out, or way too cold and you're just shivering and you're so uncomfortable, or you feel like you've got the flu and you're going to barf, these physical things that we experience, I'm calling it physical for no better reason than this is what we experience, they're unpleasant. And as far as these drugs that we take that are supposed to change your physicality, it can only be concomitant to the computer simulation that we're in, knowing that we're taking these things. Some people call it placebo effect or whatever, taking sugar pills instead of the real pills. Aging. How do these bodies age? It's part of this simulation that we're living in. It's done. Should we be able to change it? I think you should be able to change it. How do you change it? It's a thought form. How do you change thought forms? Well, you could meditate on them. There's the idea that there's a collective consciousness of all the beings here on planet Earth, and then if all the beings, or most of the beings, believe that we're physical things, and everything we've taught since we were born is about physicality, about things wearing out, and bodies dying, then that's what they believe is going to happen to them, and that's what's going to happen to them. Is that true? I don't know. It's just someone's theory. There's your rabbit hole. I've gone 25 minutes. But please go and look up these scientists that are talking about quantum physics and see what they say. There's no physical thing here. This is all just consciousness. I'm Bobby Burrows, your comic actor on Infinite Bob 99.